Well, here at the Aussie Wire, our objective is, of course, to take over the world. Why would we have any less of an objective than that? But sadly, that's something that I can't do on my own. So it's always been a part of our mission, a part of our vision, to find, to employ and bring under the Aussie Wire umbrella, to train and to equip really talented people who can help carry us forward and in the process carry the alternative media forward, creating a genuine alternative to the dinosaur lamestream media that we've all abandoned long ago. And it gives me great pride and great pleasure to introduce to you the first of our new recruits. Very, very exciting day for us. We've only been going for 6 months, can you believe? And we've already reached this milestone, courtesy of a lovely young lady who I get to introduce you to right now. Anna McGovern, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing great, thank you.
Welcome in the most literal sense. I say to every guest, welcome to the Aussie Wire. But in your case, it's a literal welcome to the Aussie Wire. Now,
Yeah, no, it's great to be here. No, I've honestly, I've always wanted to work for an outlet that promotes free speech, free thoughts, and goes against the grain on issues that the mainstream media wouldn't necessarily report on. So I'm so excited to join the team.
now I'm detecting something here, and it's only because I have an incredibly keen sense of hearing that I'm picking up. Most people would have missed it. I'm noticing an accent. Whereabouts are you from, and what brings you to Australia?
So I'm from the UK, from London, and I'm here in Australia because it's something I've always wanted to do. My parents came over here over 10 years ago, and ever since I've been growing up, they've always been telling me, you'll love Australia, the way of life. It's everything that you would love to experience, be a part of. So
Mm.
I knew for me, it's always something I had to do. So I decided to make the jump. I went for it. I moved over here in September, and I've been loving it ever since.
Now, you've actually been active. You've been on Sky News. You've been on a bunch of other sort of networks. So this is not a new thing for you. You are interested in politics. You're commentating on politics. You're already out there doing this sort of thing. What made you do that? Most young people, they're off partying, doing whatever, traveling the world. I mean, you are traveling the world. At least you're ticking that box. What drew you to political commentary?
So yes, I was working for outlets such as Talk TV and GB News back in the UK, and I do independent content creation as well.
Mm.
For me personally, I love just getting my voice heard. I have a background in charity and social action, so campaigning and helping out people and talking about the issues that matter most, especially to young people. Something that I've always been incredibly passionate about. So that was a really, for me, that was a segue where I initially got into politics because
Mm.
I started volunteering in my local community, getting involved with my local council, and seeing all of the local issues, particularly from focusing on those issues affecting young people in the community. That was my first initial interest in
Mm.
politics. And for me, it's always about speaking up on issues that matter most to people and just getting voices heard.
Yeah, fantastic. So you're going to be taking over the Aussie Wire's social media. So everyone watching, if you want to say hi to Anna, leave a comment in the comment section of this video. She has to read them all anyway. It's her job now, so she'll reply and say hi to you, I'm sure. Now, Anna, you're in addition to taking care of our social media and helping us to take the next step in being prolific and more, I guess, targeted on the different social media platforms. That's a young person's game. It's not my thing at all. So we're going to hand all of that over to you. But you're not going to be locked away from being on screen. You talked about the love of covering issues. Are there particular issues that are particularly close to your hearts? What are some of the stories that you would, or the topics that you would instinctively gravitate towards?
So for me personally, I'm very big on reporting on the issues concerning the culture war because I think it's something that we're really big in experiencing right now across the world. And this is something that I was doing predominantly in the UK. I think, for example, gender ideology is an
Mm.
increasing issue that's not only affecting, us adults in the modern day world, but it's now actually coming into schools. We're seeing children now being introduced to this at a very young age.
Mm.
So for me, it's been about raising awareness on these issues. I've been going, for example, to Posey Parker's Let Women Speak events
Yeah.
every month in London, which was a platform to raise awareness of women's stories for their backgrounds and how gender ideology has had an impact on their lives and their children's lives as well. So any issues concerning the culture war, politics, Westminster, and not trusting the government, I'm your go-to girl for that.
Well, I'm glad you said culture war because I honestly, I know it's important, but I just don't want to to cover it. I don't want to touch it. It just makes me too angry. Let me tell you a quick story. There's a young lady I want to introduce you to. She lives not far from me. She's just graduated from high school, and she nearly didn't. She nearly got kicked out of her school because she lost her temper over the fact that they were putting kitty litter into the ladies' toilet stalls. Now, I've heard urban myths and rumours of this sort of thing happening because they have furries in the school, people who identify as animals. I've heard rumours of this, and then now finally I've actually met somebody, and she looked me in the eye and she said, I saw it, I was there, this actually happened. She nearly got herself kicked out of the school because she reacted, as you can imagine, with absolute disgust. So this sort of stuff is real and it's going on. It's very important to cover it. So I'm very, very happy to have you as part of the Aussie Wire team, because I'd love you to be the one that introduces that interviews that young lady. Because if I do it, I'm going to lose my temper. It's going to make me too cross and I'm going to be unprofessional. And it's much better if you do that for us. Now, before we close out, you actually started work early. You were doing overtime before you even started. You just came on board. Literally this morning was when your contract began. But last weekend you were out there and covering. Well, tell us, before we show the video, tell us the event that you were covering.
So in Newtown, Sydney, there was a big march taking place called the Trans Day of Resistance, which I just so happened to come across being advertised. So I decided to attend it with my cameraman just to see what was going on and what the trans activists were advocating for. They'd set up a Facebook group advocating for 5 core principles, and it was all about trans rights. And for me, I just wanted to find out, what does that actually mean? So we approached the group who were like circulating there and, you know, talking between each other. And when we approached them, we did immediately sense a very off vibe, and we just felt very uncomfortable approaching them because we just felt like something was going to go wrong. So I went up to the group, I introduced myself, and I was very polite to them. I asked them, you know, how their day was going, and they were nice to me, but in a kind of, it felt very forced, very fake. One of them complimented my dress, but I didn't get any sense of a hostile vibe that was going to take place. So after speaking to them for a few minutes, I said to the group that I was from the Aussie Wire. I was here to report on the Trans Day of Resistance and to find out more about what they were doing. So I asked if any of them would be interested in an interview, at which Tim said he was willing to come on do the interview. So we do the interview together. He was telling me he was a non-binary person and, you know, what trans rights meant to him, what the day was about. And then I got interrupted several times throughout the interview.
Well, Anna,
yes,
we've got the video, so let's just play that and people can watch it unfold.
So I'm here with Tim. So we're just asking, like, why are you here today? What is the Trans Day of Resistance?
Hi, so Trans Day of Resistance is a little bit of an offshoot of Trans Day of Remembrance, which is on November the 20th. Basically, we're not only just honouring the lives of trans people in our community that have been lost, but we're also trying to fight for their right to be out in community, for our right to be in community, for our right for trans liberation.
Okay. So what does...
What? No, different group. What are you talking about? Right wing? What are you talking about?
This is where it starts to
there was
Okay, no problem. So what does trans rights mean to you?
Well, I'm a proud non-binary person, and I guess trans rights means just being able to, you know, come out here and proudly proclaim, you know, my name is Tim, my pronouns are they, them. I want to be seen like that. I want to be acknowledged by that at uni. I want to be acknowledged like that at home, at my workplace. Just, you know, I want to be who I am unapologetically and with no discriminatory practices put against me. I want to be able to, you know, seek any sort of gender affirmation that I want to be able to for free, because that's, you know, that's a medical right.
So on the Facebook group that was set up for this event, one of the principles that you advertised here in, like, I'm brand new, I start next week, I'm here literally just to cover it, I saw it last week, I'm honestly just
so they're blocking the camera.
It's not edited.
So you're over there talking to the group, and this
I don't
woman here, or person, I don't mean to misgender them, this person here has come over and is just
honestly, I'm just here to, like...
Don't give them the time and energy.
I didn't actually realise this was going on because I went over to talk to the group to see what was going on, what they shouting about.
Yeah.
And
I mean, honestly, I am just here just to get voices. I'm not him.
Swearing at me,
Who's the last?
you know,
Which
kicking
outlet's
off because
that?
they were assuming I was the right-wing media.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm here on my
own
own with my
and
friends, so
they
it's not
claimed
my
that an
kind of
earlier
thing,
group
but-
had
Yeah,
come
cool.
to the
Okay, no
march
problem.
like
Bye.
earlier that day and pretended to be nice when actually they were just there to report on the event. So without asking me my opinions or knowing anything about me, they immediately made an assumption and just started swearing at me, getting increasingly hostile, which is when my cameraman and I decided to leave.
Last time I checked, the entire point, the entire purpose of holding a protest or these sorts of highly visible events is to raise awareness and to get people talking about you. You've showed up to talk about them on the Aussie Wire and to give them exactly the thing that they want. So clearly the only people that they want to talk to are the people that are sycophants. They're already on their side.
Exactly. And if you're holding a protest, surely you should be able to have conversations with people who are going to disagree with you. And I think this is the problem that we have in modern day society, that we can't actually have a sensible or polite conversation about anything anymore. I went there in good faith. I tried to talk to them very politely, very calmly about why they were there, trying to learn more about their opinions and what the whole ethos of the event was about. And just because they made one assumption on the basis of a Google search of the Aussie Wire, they did not want to talk to me. And for a community that says they want their voice to be heard, they did not want their voice heard there.
No, they certainly didn't. I mean, Tim, seemed to be just simply talking and telling you what was going on and why they were there and why the group was there, etc. So that's all good. But the group as a whole, I mean, you chose to blur their faces, and I agree with that. We're not here to start a fight. We're not here to try and make anybody's life difficult. But it really seems counterproductive that we literally came there to give them exactly the thing that they say they want, and that's how they responded to you. Well, Anna, thank you so much for going there. I'm glad you walked away unscathed. There are some of the protests that happen, particularly in Sydney, is notorious for this, where they can be quite unpleasant. And Chris de Bruin, a friend of the show, at Chris Coveries, if you're interested in his work, if you're watching this, he covers a lot of protests up there, and unfortunately, sometimes things do go that extra step further. So it was good to see yourself and the camera person get out of that situation without any major drama. But Anna McGovern, welcome to the Aussie Wire. It's a pleasure to have you on board, and I look forward to seeing what you can bring on social media, but also on screen for us going forward.
Thank you.